Good evening, parents. Welcome to Virtual Curriculum Night. I'm your host, Megan DiMaggio, and I teach your student science. So let's get started. A little bit about me is I graduated from the University of North Georgia up in Dahlonega. I have a degree in biology and chemistry, so science is kind of my thing. This is my 9th year teaching 8th grade physical science. I started my student teaching in 8th grade and I never left. This is my 7th year of teaching the high school curriculum to 8th graders. 7 years ago is when the county decided to adopt this high school curriculum for 8th grade to get them a little bit of an extra boost in high school. This is my 2nd year at River Trail. Before this, I was at just down the street at Autry Mill. The reason why I came to River Trail is this is where I live. This is my community. So I wanted to be more available to my children who currently go to Shake Rag, but will eventually come here. But I also wanted to help out the schools that are directly in my community. So it is possible that I might run into you outside of the school system. If that happens, I would be more than happy to say hello. This is what I look like with a mask. And you might have to say hi to me first because I might not know your students yet as I'm still staring at screens. But it will come to where I will get to know their faces too. This is not my first career. In fact, I didn't really want to be a teacher. I wanted to be a veterinarian, but not just any veterinarian, one for lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. But then I started working with kids, and everyone around me said, "You need to be a teacher." And I realized that my true passion is in the classroom, whether it's face-to-face or behind a screen. These kids need me and I need them. So here I am. A little bit more about me is I am married for about 12 years. I have 2 adorable children, Lorelai, who is in 5th grade at Shake Rag, and Landon, who is in pre-K. We are Auburn fans. My husband went to Auburn, and I know you're jealous that we met Thomas the Tank Engine. I can get you some VIP passes. Very obsessed in my household. But enough about me. You're here to learn about the science. So this year, let me just move my face, not making me bigger. There we go. This year's physical science, which means it's part chemistry and part physics. The idea behind this class is to give an umbrella view of the 2 harder classes, physics and chemistry, in high school. So first semester is going to be mostly chemistry. Because this is the high school curriculum versus the 8th grade curriculum, there's a lot more chemistry to be learned. So for chemistry, we're going to be doing the 8th grade standards of matter, periodic table, pure substances versus mixtures, but we're also adding solutions, nomenclature, reactions, and radioactivity. So it's a little bit more involved. Then we'll go into energy to end this semester out. And then next semester, we'll focus on physics, which is force of motion, electromagnetism, and waves, which is pretty much identical to the 8th grade curriculum, with the one exception of high school curriculum learns simple machines. 8th grade does not. There is an EOC that has currently not been fully waived yet that we will approach next semester, and that will just count as their final exam. I'm not concerned about it. You shouldn't be either. So every year, I always discuss this pathway to high school because parents and students are a little confused on how that works with the high school curriculum in 8th grade. So the way it works is to graduate high school, you need 4 science credits. You would normally get that. You are required to take biology in 9th grade, either chemistry or earth science in 10th grade, and then a P science in 11th grade. And what P science means is either physical science or physics. That leaves your senior year open to do a science elective or a science AP course. The advantage to taking physical science in 8th grade is that's already 1 credit out of the 4 that they need. So then by the time they get to their junior year, they will already have 4 credits to graduate, leaving their senior year open for them to choose a harder class or a class of their choice. The biggest thing I want to mention is even if you do not take the credit for physical science, it still counts as an 8th grade credit to graduate middle school. You will not ever be retaking this class, however. In high school, The physical science is actually the lowest level class of sciences. Most students that are in this class now will be going to the harder route of physics. So even if you don't take the credit, it's not like they're going to retake this again. They're going to go into the harder chemistry and physics. So really, there's no pressure accepting or denying this credit. It is a good idea if you have an 80 or above to accept this credit to give your student an extra credit and a leg up for high school. If you're worried about it affecting your GPA, Hope actually does not use eighth grade high school courses in eighth grade to calculate that. So they leave it out. So really, it only helps. I hope that gives you some more information about how that works. But let's get into how we are navigating this unknown of URL, Universal Remote Learning. So the main source of information we use is Teams. Teams is where it's going to hold all notes, assignments, meetings, agendas, lesson plans is all housed in Teams. The general channel, which I will take you into in just a minute, the general channel holds our class notebook, which houses our notes and answer keys for each unit. It holds our assignments tab. This is where I post all assignments, practice assignments, labs, graded assignments will all be in here. The class meeting channel, which your student is very familiar with, this is where we actually join a live session. It also holds a daily agenda so that if students are late or are absent, they know what we did for the day. It also helps for parents too. And then the weekly lesson plan channel is where I post all my lesson plans for each week. They're tentative, things change, but for the most part, I stick to the basics of that lesson plan. So it's a good thing to check that out on Mondays, maybe print it out, and your student can follow along if they need help. But let me go ahead into Teams. That way we can show you exactly what that looks like on your end. So here we are in Teams. In the general channel, you'll notice has general post. Any assignment that I put or any form that I put goes straight to the general channel. If you click on the class notebook, it takes a minute to load. The cool thing about this is I can upload into our content library information for all of our units. So you'll see I already have unit 0, and here's all of our notes and answer keys that we've done. And then I've started our unit 1 matter that we have now started. So this is a good place to review any notes. If you're absent, if you need to print them out, or if you just need to know what we're doing, it's all in here. The other important part is this assignments tab. The assignments tab, this gets posted automatically to the general channel. So there's 2 ways you can see assignments. You can see them directly in the posts, or you can click up here for the assignments, and it gives a list of all the assignments that your student needs to do. If it says assigned, that means they either haven't done it or I haven't graded it yet. I'm working. But if it's in returned, these are assignments that I have graded and returned to them. So it's a good way to keep up with what your student has or has not done. And it's also a good way to practice for our summatives. These are all things that will help study for that. In our class meetings channel, we always post an agenda. So here's our agenda for today. It'll have our warm-up. It'll have what we're doing. If it has any notes that we're doing, I usually post them first. So we're using the same notes we started on Tuesday. And then it tells you what we're going to have. We're having an assignment to look in at the assignments for density problems today. But it also has the recordings of all my live lessons for each of our classes. That way, if you are absent or if you just need to listen to me again, you can. And then the last channel that's important for you is the weekly lesson plans. So you'll see each of my weeks are in here, and you can easily open these, save these, and print them out to know exactly what your students should be doing for science that week. Okay. Let me take it back in here. We do have a couple of tools we use that are outside of Teams. Luckily, they are found in ClassLink. The first one we use is called Gizmos. This is where we have online labs that we will sometimes do. I do want to try to keep doing hands-on labs. I'll throw some of those in as best as I can. But for the meantime, the online labs are just as good. Then we have Illuminate, which is also found in ClassLink. This is where all of our summative assignments will take place. Our quizzes and our tests will be through Illuminate. Then we have our Wednesdays, which are a little bit different now. Our Wednesdays are for an asynchronous activity. If your student has an assignment to do for Wednesday, it will not be a live lesson. It will be, for me, something that can be done as much as possible off screen. I know staring at the screen for 8 hours a day is hard. Believe me, I know. So I want to try to give them as much screen-free time as possible. So I'm going to use the Wednesdays to do hands-on labs, usually with just kitchen materials that should be easily accessible in your house. If there are materials that need to be extra, I will let you know ahead of time, and trust me, your students know ahead of time too. Don't let them fool you. Or it might be workbook pages like we did this past week, where they can use a book or a PDF of workbook pages, and they go through and they answer questions off screen. So I am trying to work in things away from the screen as much as possible. So then we have this mastery-based learning, which is a bit different. Our summative assessments are really the only thing that are going to count for your students' grade this year. They are ranked at 80%, with our final exam being the other 20%. So all tests, quizzes, projects are the only things that are going to affect your students' grade. These are things that are going to be in Illuminate. However, we also will have grades that show up in Infinite Campus that are not affecting your student's grade. These are our formatives, and formatives are weighted as 0%, meaning labs, classwork, any informal assessment that I give students will show me where they are in the learning, but won't negatively affect or positively affect their grade. They'll be ranked as 0. So I'm doing this through Microsoft Forms, Assignments tab, Illuminate, and Gizmos can all be used as a formative assessment. So if you see something in the grade book that is not so good grade, it's probably a formative, has no effect to your students' average. It just helps me figure out where they are in the learning and what I need to do to help. Okay. There is a final exam for first semester, and then if we do have the EOC, that will count as their second semester final. So they won't actually have a final for me for second semester if we take this EOC. Okay. So what happens when your tech gets a little wonky? Let me just move my face right over here. So we have a couple of not really the best solutions, but things that will help if you can't get into that tech line as fast as you need to. So when your Teams gets wonky, let's say you can't get in your Teams, always email the teacher and let us know that they're trying. That way we can mark them as present for the day, even if they can't get in. Luckily, they can always go back and review the lesson afterwards because all the lessons are recorded. They do then need to check for updates and then restart their computer to see if that helps. If they can't open forms, they also need to check for updates, restart, try again. If they can't open assignments, check for updates, restart, let me know if you can't open something, and then I can work around it. Sometimes I've been emailing assignments. I will do whatever it is to help you get your assignments done and your learning for the summative. Flipgrid has been wonky. I don't really have a fix for this yet. I don't know why it's wonky, and I don't know why it's not using the camera for some and not for others. Still getting there. Illuminate. We have had some issues with Illuminate not opening in ClassLink. I'm learning different ways around that, but for the time being, restarting seems to help. The good news is if we get into a summative in Illuminate and tech isn't working and we're wasting time trying to restart and then you're getting stressed because we can't take the test and you're running out of time, it's okay. Mastery-based learning means if your student does not meet mastery, which is 80% or above, 80 is mastery, then they can retake it up to 3 times for their highest grade possible. But they have to meet below mastery standards. 80 and above is mastery, and that means they've mastered it and don't need to retake. The material this way is used to help the students learn the material, not punish them for tech issues. So If they do need to do a retake, I will always have a form for them posted on the general channel. They fill it out, they complete all their assignments, they do a help session with me, and then they schedule a retake. So then last is my expectations for general class, but mostly for URL. Students are expected to be on time and prepared for class, and that includes doing their best work. I understand tech gets wonky. I typically start the class or open the class about 5 minutes prior to the class time to allow those tech issues to kind of work out itself, but I won't start class until the actual time. Notes and other class assignments should be reviewed nightly. I don't give homework. Homework is not really a thing during URL because they're on the screen so much, but they should be reviewing what they've done that day so they keep it fresh in their minds. It's a good way to study. All assignments that I post are important, whether they're graded or not. Everything that I give is meeting the mastery of the standards, and it'll help them prepare for the summatives. So even if it's not graded, I expect students to do all assignments that I post. Absences. If you're absent for whatever reason, luckily everything's recorded, and you can just head to Teams, check out what we did, and watch the lesson over again. It is on the student's responsibility to be able to go through and do anything that they missed for that day. All right, well, I think that about covers everything. If you still have questions, there's a form that I attached to the email with this link that has this link to give me some questions and feedback about curriculum night. Or if you have a more personal concern that the form doesn't answer, you can quickly email me here. Just give me about 24 hours. It does get bogged down in there. I also have a website that is kind of obsolete now in the world of Teams with everything on here, but it does have some cute pictures, it has my notes, and it has a calendar on it. And then help sessions are by appointment during our office hours, which are currently 8:20 to 8:50. And then on Wednesdays, we usually have our afternoons free of meetings that we can also schedule help sessions as well. So if you need a help session, just reach out. I'll be more than happy to schedule that for you. I hope you have enjoyed our virtual curriculum night. I hope you learned some tips and tricks to navigate your students' new world of learning. And I hope to see you all very